Welcome to CIO Leadership Live. I'm Lucas Marion. I'm a senior writer for Computer World Magazine. I'm here at the CIO 100 Symposium and Awards Show here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I have with me today Niraj Bhatt. He's a fractional CTO and advisor to startups and Fortune 500 companies. And you just came out of a private equity exit, and you won a CIO 100 award for the last 3 years. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Good to have you with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. So let's start at a high level. How are you helping your clients navigate this AI space?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting times, kind of living a dream right now, and I'm covering like a spectrum, working with startups like founders, non-technical founders, and technical founders, and I'm also advising Fortune 500 companies. Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing, the startup space, they are loving the velocity and the momentum and the speed because they always wanted that, and AI is kind of providing them that. The products, they're able to bring their products to markets very quickly. Mm-hmm. Something which would probably take them 3 years, like a couple of years back, is probably now taking them 3 months. So there's a lot of excitement there. And although on the flip side, the same velocity is also hurting them. Mm-hmm. All these frontier companies, AI companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, like I was working with a startup on the financial services, and Anthropic recently released their Claude for financial services,
right,
which just disrupted the whole offering which the startup was working on. Look at OpenAI, they have similar offerings in sales and marketing, which they are coming up with. You look at Google, they recently came up with the interactive video model. So a lot of the startups working in the marketing space are also kind of getting disturbed. So I think a lot of what I'm focused on, working with founders, helping them pivot in the Gen AI space, ensuring that their systems and their products are built and structured in the right manner. Mm-hmm. And on the enterprise space, what I'm seeing, like the wave of the POC, proof of concepts kind of has gotten over, and people have seen the value. There's some excitement, but now the struggle is getting them to production. That's where you run into like cost, you run into latency, you run into legal compliance, privacy issues, the customer concerns that if we take it to production, how this is going to look like, how are we going to scale, and all of that. And I think what has happened there is those engineering teams, product teams, they have to be ably supported by the enterprise architecture teams, by the R&D teams. So a lot of my focus and the work I'm doing is helping those enterprise architecture teams, R&D teams kind of come up to speed and build that kind of internal platform product for the production workloads. So I think exciting times on both the sides.
Do you help also unveil some of those hidden costs? Inference costs and input-output?
Yeah, it's a lot. People like the POCs, when they get out of that, and when you start tallying those, they add up pretty significantly. Every token, every input token, output token, your model which you're selecting, look at all of that, then look at the scale. Because I'm talking to my customers, a lot of them are getting throttled, even the likes of OpenAI, because their volumes are growing and significant and the cost is significant. So just planning that all out, observability, monitoring, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's the entire SDLC needs to be put together for Gen AI solutions too. Yeah. So there is a lot there, you're right.
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around what a token is. It's a part of a word, it's not even the full word, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm glad I don't have to foot the bill on that. How do you see Gen AI, the evolution from LMMs to RAG to agentic AI? Do you think the hype of all this is real?
Great question, and I'll just like pick on that token thing, what you just mentioned at the end. So essentially, if you look at and then I think it's very important, like we used to always say that if you cannot explain it to your 80-year-old, you don't really understand it well. And I've kind of changed that if you cannot explain it to your 80-year-old grandmother or mother or whoever, because the 80-year-olds are getting it. It's the 80-year-olds which we need to like, because the execs, the business execs, they are really looking for that sort of advisor, a trusted advisor who can really distill it for them, right? So if you look at the LLMs to RAG, to agentic AI now. In the essence, the heart of it is all about tokens, right? It's like predicting that next token is what this is all about. And I think understanding that is kind of the key, right? So when the LLMs, when they came out, they were good at predicting that next token on the data which they were trained. Now, when the enterprises looked at it, they wanted to make those LLMs work for their data.
Right.
And the question kind of became that, how do we provide our data, right? How do we provide that context so that the LLMs, once they have the context, it's all about building the right context for the LLM. Agentic AI is no different. So that's where the RAG evolution kind of came in.
Yeah.
That I've got this my data, and how can I, because every LLM has got a limitation in terms of how much context it can carry.
It's just working off of its memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. 100 million, so there are like ranges of different LLM, and Google has got the highest range in terms of the context window, what they support, the size of the context window. And the same thing with agentic AI. The agentic AI, it's more action-oriented, like the LLMs are able to act.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, LLMs are not acting. LLMs are relying on the metadata which you are providing for the tools.
If and then, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they tell, then again they're doing the prediction of that token prediction that if I'm looking for this, then I should be like using this tool. And then it's upon the infrastructure underlying which LLM relies on to invoke the agent. So in a way, I think I'm of the opinion that no, like if you bring a person and try to explain the microservices to that person, you're going to struggle, right? But if you explain the evolution, so I think that's very important to understand the evolution, and that's where you can really cut through the hype. Right? Because it's very easy for somebody to know a person with hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yeah,
right.
That.
So if you look at it from that perspective, it's very difficult, and it's easy to kind of like get lost in the hype. Right? Oh, everybody's doing agents, and I should be doing agents, and everything can be done through agents.
Right.
But understanding in this context, I think, is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to interview the guy who decided what a token was worth. That's all. So how are you navigating the challenges around talent? I've written a lot about this. I write about the future of work a lot. There are talent gaps out there, and we don't even know what they're going to be in 6 months because the technology is accelerating so quickly. How do you deal with that?
Great question. Yeah, easier said than done. So what I'm seeing, I think the part of it is like the IT side of things, that there is so much of cognitive load on the members, and how do we like really empower them to build solutions, and it's the right mix of products and platforms. But with AI, I think it's really about democratizing AI for the entire organization. So your talent strategy is everyone, all inclusive, starting
Business
from an
side,
intern, business side, tech side, CEOs, everybody, like your customer success, your revenue officers. You have to kind of have a talent strategy, because in the end, IT is not going to be in a position to deliver for everyone in the organization.
Right.
And AI is making everybody, or has a potential to make everyone in the organization more productive. So you have to really plan that. You have to like facilitate that like broad innovation across the organization. And that's where the talent strategy, working with your HR, the people officer, becomes like very important, and providing those tools, right? So one part of it is training, but then like if I'm a receptionist, right, receiving calls, and if I'm building an agent, now how do I build the agent, right? I'm not going to be relying on wipe coding or things of that nature, but like what are the tools, like where do I run, where do I host this? So I think thinking through that entire ecosystem, like going beyond co-pilots, right? I think that's essentially is where the innovation can really kick in, and that broader talent strategy is something I'm working with my customers on.
Okay. Coming to using Gen AI for SDLC, what are some of the cases you're excited about?
Yeah, and there is a lot of, as I was mentioning at the very beginning, the startup world, the whole agile AI, they're calling it as. There's a lot of excitement around that. Like the 3 years to 3 months is something real. But if I were to like look at both the startups and the enterprises, in the startups world, the test automation, I think that's going to be a big use case, because they're always constrained on resources.
Yep.
And operating margins and how can we deliver more for less. So the test automation using AI, and I think that's becoming, there are companies out there doing that. It's early, but I think operating that at scale can really accelerate the whole SDLC. And the second thing, which if you talk to any CIO and everybody I'm talking to, is the tech debt. That if AI, right, and this is like, it could be something as simple as upgrading. I am running on a .NET version, a Java version, a PHP version, Python, whatever, and I want to just upgrade the library from version A to version B. And if AI can do that lifting, then that's giving significant amount of time back, because tech debt has been a struggle for all of us. So I think the tech debt and the test automation, those are the areas I see as a big use case.
Give the AI the grunt work.
Yeah,
I hear it.
you're right.
What's your advice to fellow CIOs for being successful with their AI initiatives? Kind of a broad question.
Yeah, and it was interesting. I was in attending the conference, and there was a panel discussion yesterday happening in the evening, and a very, very good panel. And there was a question, I think similar question asked, that what is the number one trait what CIO needs to be successful in the world of AI? And the answer, what the panel gave was like collaboration, that you need to really bring everybody together, and you need to move forward and make sure that everybody's really on board. And maybe to my mind, simplifying that is more like systems thinking. When you operate, just bringing everybody together and ensuring they're meeting the outcomes. But I think like in the world of AI today, what's maybe equally important or maybe slightly more important is managing expectations. Because if you are a CIO today, there is a tremendous amount of pressure on you to deliver and have an AI strategy which is rock solid, right? So what I'm doing with my customers, getting the board, getting the CEO, getting the CFO all into a room, right? And really helping them understand like what I was kind of talking about, the evolution and what's the art of possible, right? You don't want to be a CIO who thinks that, I have a hammer and everything is a nail, right? So just really working that and ensuring that the strategy which you are building, you have the buy-in from the senior leaders, and you are really headed in the right direction. You are not like reacting to the pressure.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Exactly, with the top leadership, but you're really like driving, becoming that change agent for good for the company. So that's something which I think would benefit a lot of CIOs today, because the pressure is through the roof.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I think it's rushing a lot of these projects that don't need to be. Niraj, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. I certainly hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you. Thank you.